From New York, it's That Kevin Show.
See, I knew it.
Come on, Kev. What's a few classified documents between friends?
I told you all the time. I knew it. I knew he had some too.
Here he is, That Kevin McCullough.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is no stranger to neither Kevin McCullough Radio nor That Kevin Show. She's already been with us multiple times. Very grateful to have her insight, especially in these very important days that we live in. She was the civilian equivalent of a four-star general or admiral when she served multiple presidents at the Pentagon and in roles with national security. Please put your hands together and welcome back KT McFarland. Hello, KT.
It's always great to be with you, and I love the introduction. I mean, next you're going to say I'm going to be beatified by the Pope. It's so good.
Well, speaking of the Pope, there have been some international leaders that I feel like have taken some rather disappointing stands on the issue within Israel over the last week or so, and I'm just curious. It's been a little while since the war was declared by Mr. Netanyahu. We are watching the kind of strategic chess pieces be moved back and forth. What is your assessment of where we are?
Well, Israel's about to go in on the ground in Gaza, and it's going to go for unconditional surrender. It's not going to do what it's always done in the past, which is to go in, take out some missile depots, kill a couple of the terrorist leaders, and then come back out and let Hamas regrow again. It's called like the growing the grass, cutting the grass strategy. This time they're going to go, dig up the grass. They're going to go destroy Hamas leadership, civilian and military, and their military depots. And that's the only choice they have at this point.
That has to be done because they had 6,000 missiles fired at them, KT. And I don't think a bunch of goat herders from the outback can produce 6,000 missiles on their own, and they hide them in places like schools and hospitals. I mean, they are very sinister in terms of their planning in advance.
Okay, so this is what worries me about what's going to happen next. Iran is behind this, despite the administration saying, oh, no, we're not completely sure. The administration is just trying to run cover for its failed Iran policy, its failed Middle East policy. But here's what happens next. The world has been outraged by the slaughter of the innocents, in a biblical sense, the slaughter of the innocents in Israel. But now the script is going to flip. And this is what Iran wants. Iran wanted Israel to go in a overall fundamental way. Iran doesn't care about Hamas. It doesn't care about Palestinian civilians. Iran wants to isolate Israel. And it figures that if Israel goes in, and it's going to be long and bloody, and there will be civilian casualties, that Iran can point to the world and say, look at Israel. They're far more bloodthirsty than the Palestinians, and that the UN will take it up, Europe will take it up. My worry is that the Democrat Party takes it up, and it becomes an anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, but anti-Israel approach. And then within about 2 weeks' time, are they going to pressure President Biden, who has been very strong in his support of Israel to date? If the Biden administration figures they're going to lose the far left of the Democrat Party, they're going to lose world public opinion, then Israel might feel abandoned. I mean, if the Biden administration then starts slow walking intelligence sharing, slow walking backfilling of the Israeli munitions that are going to be used and depleted as it does the Gaza operation, is Israel going to be abandoned? I mean, are we going to go back to where we were 20 years ago? And then what happens is, I think then the wars escalate, because if Israel feels abandoned, if Israel looks like it doesn't have the support of the United States, full-hearted support of the United States, doesn't have the support of the UN, doesn't have support of Europe, definitely isn't going to have the support of Russia or China, Middle East countries, Middle East Arab countries that Israel's been making peace with in the Abraham Accords. If everybody starts backing away, then I do think Hezbollah opens a second front from the north. And I do worry that Israel says, okay, we're on our own. We've seen the slaughter of the innocents. We know what Iran is capable of doing through its proxy forces. And then maybe Israel decides, we better take out the Iranian nuclear sites now. It's our last chance, because we know from what we've seen, Iran will not hesitate to use nuclear weapons against Israel.
There's a whole bunch to unpack in what you just said, and it's one of the reasons why I'm grateful to have you here. So I was speaking with Alan Dershowitz last week, and he said, I said, what's the number one thing that Netanyahu wants from the U.S., anything in addition to munitions to defend themselves and intelligence of what's going on the ground? And he said, yes. He said, we need the American bunker busters.
Yeah.
And we need them tomorrow in case we do need to go take out the Iranian nuclear sites. What do you think the odds are that whether Hezbollah opens another front or not, and we've kind of seen like a little bit of teasing with that, haven't we? I mean, Syria fired some missiles in. We've seen a little bit of back and forth. But Iran's the real problem here, as you identified. Will we see those nuclear sites taken out?
We could, and Iran has in the past shown that it's been very good at burying them deep underground. That's why when you talk about the bunker buster bombs, those would be bombs or missiles that can go in deep underground and take out the actual physical facility. But Israel's been very good about targeting Iranian nuclear scientists, about targeting probably Iranian computer systems. Israel's also shown in the past, whether it's been Syria or in Libya, that it has been willing to go take out those nuclear sites, those nuclear enrichment facilities, and then not taking credit for it, just be quiet about it. But Israel has shown in the past it has the resolve to do it. And I think if there's any sentiment now that's going on in Israel of maybe we should just wait, maybe Iran is going to be making a peace agreement with the United States, maybe Iran doesn't mean it, maybe we've got this all under control. I think that's all changed. And that the Israelis are pretty united in not only do we have to root out Hamas, root and branch, but we also need to stop Hezbollah from raining missiles down, targeting missiles that can target urban areas in Israel. But also, let's just face it, the big source of all of this is Iran and Iran's wealth, thanks to the Biden administration energy policies.
Well, not only that, unfreezing funds and giving them $6 billion back. I mean, this is kind of insane when we're talking about it.
But it's even more. It's even more than the $6 billion. It's like the 50, 60 billion, because the Biden administration, the Trump administration, we slapped on really serious sanctions on Iran and we enforced them. And the Biden administration has stopped enforcing them. So Iran is selling oil. Iran is selling oil to China, to a lot of different places. And as a result of that, Iran's oil revenues are sky high. So Iran is sitting on windfall profits, not only the $6 billion that Biden gave him, but other profits from their oil sales. They've got the money to pay the terrorist groups. I mean, this is something that's just so makes me so mad. At the end of the Trump administration, because oil prices were at about $40 a barrel, Iran was broke. Iran had started.
So was Russia. It was good. A lot of people were broke.
A lot of the bad guys were all broke. The bad guys couldn't start wars. It had gotten to the point where Iran was cutting back on its support of Hezbollah and Hamas. They were complaining, where's Iran? Where's our money? You always have been giving us money and munitions. You're not giving it to us anymore. We had Iran on the ropes. Iran could not have launched these attacks through its proxy forces if President Trump had remained in office.
It's a very sad reality. We are speaking with KT McFarland, who's going to stay with us for just a bit longer, because there are other layers to this conversation that need to be had, but we're very grateful to have her here. It's That Kevin Show. Kevin McCullough coming back from Times Square. Don't go away.
Ready or not, he'll be right back. That Kevin.